Hello and welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. I'm your host Sonali Nigam, and today I'm joined by Thal Vasishta, founder and managing director at Paragon Law Limited. Hi Thal, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Sonali. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be
Ple-
here.
Pleasure is all mine. So, would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Okay, I'll be as brief as possible. Stop me if I go on and on.
Sure.
But so as you said, I'm the founding director of Paragon Law. It's a company that I set up back in 2003 when I was a little over 1 year qualified as a practicing solicitor in the UK. At that time, I was the youngest person to set up their own law firm. And I needed special dispensation from my governing body to do so. The opportunity came as an MBO of the immigration department that I'd set up at the firm, which I flew the nest away from. I thought it was a great market for a niche immigration law firm. That's the practice area that we specialize in. And within that, other than giving direction to the business and business strategy as an owner of the business, I'd say equally I specialize in personally corporate immigration. So that's my practice area.
Interesting thought. And as we were discussing before the interview, 20 plus years in the business. So, what do you attribute your growth to?
Passion for the area of law, an area of law that I fell accidentally into. So certainly to a young person, I'd say, look, take opportunities when they come. And that's how the opportunity of being able to start an immigration department at the firm where I set up, the department which I purchased was an opportunity too good to miss. Um, Someone as an owner of the business, I would say, as my previous employers did with me, trust in the individuals,
Right.
and make sure that they're trained and they're developed. And if they have a passion, encourage that as much as possible. So I think it's that same sort of learning that I had from my previous employers on how to run a practice coupled with an area of law that I was quite passionate about. Um, Seemed like a good mix. And then, 20 years later, why has that been so successful? Is because I found a core team around me who have been there as long as me or nearly as long as me, who are looking after key sort of practice areas and business divisions.
Thank you, Tal, for answering that. And so, as I said, 20 plus years in the business and the amount of experience that you hold is immense. So, what would you say are the biggest learning as the owner of the business running successfully?
Biggest learnings. Wow, I'd have to think about that. But what have learnings been? You're always going to have setbacks, and you have to be prepared for that,
Uh-huh.
and be able to adapt and see it as part of the learning and growth process. I would also say that be mindful that you're always going to have black swan events that no expert in the world could ever predict. And
Right.
we've had a few of those, and since I set up business, so for example, the 2008 financial crisis, the one of 2012, COVID comes to mind. I'm sure there's others as well.
Yeah.
Um, and and all that experience that you get, good or bad, for me is better than doing an MBA, sort of doing the business on the job, so to speak.
Interesting. So, Tal, what would you say are some common misconceptions about running a business? And how do you address them?
I'm not really sure what do you mean? Common misconceptions. I don't know what's common in that regard, Sonali. I think every business owner will have their own uh, experiences from which they would think, oh no, that was a misconception on my part. I never thought it would happen like that.
Uh-huh.
Um, Mine have been, as I mentioned earlier, certainly the black swan events, meaning that, for example, I remember when I set up my business, a lot of the funders at that time were very much into seeing a 5-year business plan. And so someone as a new business owner who's preparing a 5-year business plan, and then you meet sort of consultants and stuff who will say the same as well, have a 5-year plan. Um, but black swan events, or the unexpected within a person's own niche or practice area, will quickly make you divert from any 5-year plan. And I'd say, I'd be interested what business owners, and if they had the opportunity to comment, whether from their experience they would say that 12 to 24 months planning is a lot better and easier to achieve than 5 years. I don't think I've met any 5-year plan just because the circumstances changing. It's too long a period to plan for.
Right. So, Tal, because we need to make sure that this interview is full of learning, what challenges are you currently facing in the business?
Um, I'm actually really enjoying it at this stage. It's everything is in balance. I think one always needs, as a business owner, needs to look at the macro situation, what's happening, globally, and also, from a sort of micro point of view, what's happening in your own particular sector. So, as a niche immigration law firm, I always need to be aware of what the political thought
Situation.
processes are and what's going on there. How are the media reporting this? What's the wrong media reporting? How do I balance that as a senior immigration lawyer within corporate immigration in terms of representations, to either government or to public bodies that have been set up on behalf of the government? So that's the micro kind of thing. And I think immigration, again, is being made very political, certainly in the
Yeah.
UK, and elsewhere as well, in fact. So, you know, is that a concern? No, because it's always been there.
Right.
But at the moment, as opposed to green, I'd say it's more sort of amber and red alert in terms of political thinking here and potential legislation that might come out. From a
Yeah.
macro point of view, you have to think about, Trump's tariffs, a potential war in breaking out here or there, and what sort of consequences does that have to your own clients, for example, who are based in particular jurisdictions or have a subsidiary or a branch or something
Yeah.
of that sort, and how that ultimately, what advice you may need to give in that scenario, or how one might have to adapt their own business. So I think that's where my thought process is. And we also look at, what current trends are like, for example, technology, AI, blockchain, crypto, and what does that mean for organizations like me that carry a
Interesting,
lot
Tal.
of it. Yeah.
No, no, I think completely agree. And some valid points mentioned about the challenges that at this kind of business might have. And talking about it, Thal, you also mentioned that the employees that you have in total are quite many, and employees are crucial to any sort of business. So, can I ask what qualities do you look for in employees when you hire them, and how do you foster a positive and a productive work environment?
So particular area of our recruitment that I'm interested in is lawyers in particular. And so in terms of lawyers, what I look for are everyone's got to be an artist in their chosen profession, career, whatever that is. So their legal skills have got to be good.
Okay.
Um, and I think beyond that, what we're looking for is their interest to show how they may develop as individuals themselves.
Okay.
Um, and so how I split that is that everyone needs to be an artist, a good lawyer. And then what I'm looking for are either rainmakers or managers.
Mm-hmm.
No one can do all those three things successfully, right?
Right.
Because it's too many plates to spin. But if
Right.
you want to progress within a law firm, you have to show aptitude for either management or rainmaking,
Mm-hmm.
one or the other. And that's what we, you may not necessarily get that straight away as well from an individual, but what you're looking for is interest qualities that might show that they have an interest to develop in that way.
Tal, so we've talked about various aspects about your business, and I literally would want to touch a bit about your personal life. So, how do you put a balance between the personal and the professional life? How do you strike that perfect balance? What is the
Uh, there's
key?
there's no such thing. There's no
Ah,
such thing as perfect balance. And anyone who tells you that are wrong, in my
uh-huh.
view. Um, I don't know anyone who's got perfect balance. Do you? Are you?
I mean, I'm trying to, Tal, that
Yeah,
you being
we're
very
all
honest, though.
trying. We're all trying,
Yeah,
and no one should give up in trying and
yeah,
finding balance.
yeah,
Um, but if health is out of sync, you start, let's say, wanting to think about health. So you want to go to the gym, you want to prepare
yeah,
your own meals, whatever it may be. That takes time always from something else. So what's going to give way there, family or business? Those hours that you weren't putting in at gym or yourself somewhere else. Um, if anyone's thinking about this, about themselves, spending time on themselves, the first thing on the list should be health, going to the
yeah.
gym,
True.
working out, or something of that sort. Um, and then it's just balancing other things as well, family, friends, contribution, to society and training, developing other people, mentoring,
Wow.
etc. It can all add up, can't it, really?
True.
And none of that is in balance the way you want it. Not for me
Ah,
anyway. If anyone does have that secret sauce, you know, put it down in writing, and you'll make a lot of money from that.
Tal, some honest answers from you, I must say, and I'm sure our audience have picked up and learned so many things from you. So, is there any closing remark that you would like to share with the audience, or a golden nugget before we wrap up?
The golden nugget based on the organization here that's interviewed me, and something that I can certainly say has helped me along my business, is to ask questions when you're not sure. You know, ask them of the right person with the right expertise, and mentors can save a tremendous time on your own personal business growth through learning from their experience and what they have to say.
Thank you, Thal. It was quite
Pleasure.
inspirational, and thank you so much for your time today. It was great speaking to you and learning so much about your journey. And to everyone watching me today, I will see you in my next episode. Thank you very much.